that infamous stratospheric high F6. It's the single note that every opera fan, and even people who have never stepped foot inside an opera house, seem to obsess over. They talk about it as if it's the final boss of classical music, the ultimate unbeatable vocal high score. But this widespread obsession, this focus on a single pitch, completely misses the point of the drama, and it's long past time for a deeper opera analysis. The legendary note isn't the monster. The mother singing it is. And in this detailed vocal breakdown, I'm about to show you exactly why Diana Damrau's iconic performance of this Mozart masterpiece is not just a vocal feat, but a chilling masterclass in psychological terror. Imagine this for a moment. What if your own mother, her eyes burning with a cold, terrifying fury, handed you a freshly sharpened knife and ordered you to murder someone? And what if you refused? She wouldn't just be disappointed. She would utterly disown you, curse your very existence, and cast you out into darkness forever. Now, imagine she screamed that horrifying command in a series of notes so piercingly high, so impossibly sharp, that they seem to sit in the stratosphere of the human voice. That is the essence of Der Hölle Rache. That is the chilling reality of the Queen of the Night. This isn't just some vocal party trick for a gifted coloratura soprano. That is a mother's bottomless rage, forged and sharpened into a deadly, inescapable weapon. Stay with me if you want to understand what the legendary Diana Damrau is really communicating, while the rest of the world just hears a pretty impossibly high note. Context. Nobody bothers to Google. So how did we ever arrive at this horrifying, unnatural breaking point between a mother and her own daughter? To truly grasp the weight of this aria, you have to understand the opera plot that leads to it. Forget any simplified fairy tale summary you might have heard. Mozart's The Magic Flute is a bizarre, profound, and wonderful Masonic fever dream, overflowing with arcane symbolism, secret societies, and grueling philosophical tests. Early in the opera, the queen is skillfully portrayed as a grieving, sympathetic victim. But by the time Act 2 rolls around, the entire game has been flipped on its head. She has come to believe her daughter, Pamina, has been brainwashed and turned against her by the high priest, Sarastro. The Queen of the Night feels utterly betrayed. Her estranged husband is dead, her kingdom is lost, and all of her legitimate power has been systematically stripped away. Her only remaining tool is raw, unfiltered emotional violence. So in one desperate last-ditch effort to reclaim her influence, she shoves a dagger into Pamina's hand and unleashes the unholy fury of Der Hölle Rache. The German translation says it all: the vengeance of hell boils in my heart. This isn't a song. It is a psychological and emotional ultimatum, masterfully wrapped in some of the most difficult and brilliant coloratura passages ever written for the human voice. Why the F6 obsession misses the point. So why does almost every casual analysis of this aria get it so fundamentally wrong? Yes, the F6 is vocally insane. It's a sound that hovers at the absolute upper limit of the soprano range, a frequency that only a handful of singers on the entire planet can produce with the required power, precision, and control. But here's a necessary correction to a common myth. That note is not above the highest note on a piano. A standard 88-key piano goes all the way up to a C8. The point isn't about breaking an instrument. It's about pushing the human voice to its absolute emotional and physical breaking point. Focusing only on that singular F6 is like admiring the exclamation point at the end of a death threat. Without the horrifying sentence that comes before it, the punctuation is utterly meaningless. Diana Damrau understands this in her very bones. It is this profound, intellectual understanding of the drama that allowed her to survive and thrive, singing this brutally demanding role at the world's most prestigious opera houses, from the Met and the Salzburg Festival to Covent Garden, in more than 15 different productions. She doesn't just hit the note, she makes you feel the entire lifetime of rage, grief, and betrayal that launches it into the stratosphere. This is opera for beginners and experts alike, a crucial lesson in advanced musical storytelling. First entrance: consonants, like daggers. The spine-chilling terror in Damrau's performance doesn't actually begin with the famous high notes everyone anticipates. It starts much, much earlier, with the very first words she utters from the shadows. Hit play on any of her recordings and pause right after that first menacing line, Der Hölle kocht in meinem Herzen. Listen closely to the texture of her voice. Damrau masterfully weaponizes the German consonants. Those hard K and Chi sounds in Rache and Kocht are not smoothed over or softened for the sake of a beautiful, flowing legato line, as many otherwise excellent singers would be tempted to do. Instead, they are delivered as jagged shards of glass. She practically spits the words out, emphasizing the plosive, percussive, and violent quality of the language itself. This is far more than just singing. She's spitting concentrated venom with every single syllable, methodically loading the gun before the first firework even goes off. The runs, panic attack in sound. Then comes the section of the aria that truly separates the world-class elite professionals from the merely talented pretenders, the dizzying coloratura runs. On the page, Mozart wrote these passages to look like a seismograph measuring a Category 5 earthquake. Most singers, quite understandably, use these lightning-fast runs primarily to show off their hard-earned vocal agility, to prove to the audience that they can indeed conquer the passage. Damrau does something far more interesting. She uses them to construct a terrifying and palpable sense of escalating panic. For her, each rapid-fire cascade of notes isn't a vocal flex, it's a visceral adrenaline spike. The runs are intentionally uneven, breathless, and razor-sharp. It's the sound of a mother who is rapidly losing all rational control, her thoughts scattering in a million directions, catching her breath for a brief moment of terrifying clarity, and then losing herself to the madness all over again. It's a full-blown sonic panic attack, and it is absolutely, spellbindingly riveting to witness. Approaching the cliff, the high F6. And now, finally, we come to the moment everyone has been waiting for, the four famous high F6. But the true, breathtaking genius of Diana Damrau's interpretation isn't found in the note itself. It's found in the horrifying, chilling silence she creates in the split second right before it. Where other singers might power through the phrase, building volume and intensity, Damrau does the exact opposite. She pulls back. She strategically drops her voice to a ghostly whisper, a hushed and menacing mezzo-piano dynamic that creates a sudden vacuum of sound, forcing the entire audience to lean in, holding their breath with her. The orchestra quiets. The world seems to stop. Then, emerging from that terrifying stillness, she fires 5 perfect machine-gun staccato F6, like bullets from a revolver. The collective gasp from the audience isn't just for the astonishing pitch, it's for the violent, audible snap of a character being pushed far past her breaking point. That absolute dynamic control is the fundamental difference between a high-wire circus trick and a moment of truly terrifying, unforgettable music drama. After the peak, menace doesn't vanish. Here is precisely where so many lesser performers fail, and Damrau's genius for sustained storytelling shines most brightly. After the breathtaking vocal fireworks of the F6 have concluded, many queens visibly relax. They soften their gaze, their physicality shifts, and they almost seem to wink at the audience as if to say, "Phew, the hard part is over." Not Damrau. She maintains the bone-chilling razor-wire tension until the bitter, final note. Her eyes remain locked on her daughter, Pamina, her gaze as piercing and unwavering as a hawk's. Her vibrato remains tight, intensely focused, and insistent, never becoming warm or forgiving. The threat hangs heavy and suffocating in the air long after the highest notes have faded. The final decorative trill she sings isn't a pretty flourish. In her hands, it becomes the rattling slam of a prison door. She is finishing the sentence she started 2 minutes ago. Cross me, and you are dead to me. There is no escape. If you are geeking out as much as I am on this deep dive opera analysis, and you love seeing how raw human emotion can be encoded directly into vocal technique, do me a huge favor and hit that like button. It's a small click for you, but it tells the YouTube algorithm that opera nerds are here, we are legion, and we want more deep content like this. And for more intense breakdowns of iconic opera performances, make sure you subscribe to Opera Brownn. While you're at it, head down to the comments and tell me a role you think is even more demanding than the Queen of the Night. I read them all, and I might just break it down in a future video. Physicality. The body tells what lyrics can't. If you believe her voice is telling the entire story of this character, you're only getting half of the devastating picture. To truly appreciate the depth of Damrau's artistry, you absolutely have to watch her perform. Her stage presence is nothing short of electric. During those frantic, panicked coloratura runs, you can see her fingers flick outwards with sharp, convulsive gestures, as if she's physically throwing sparks of white-hot rage into the air around her. And just before she launches into the legendary high F6, as she holds that sustained, preparatory note, her hand claws at the air in front of her, a malevolent and desperate gesture, as if she is trying to grab and crush an invisible heart. While her voice remains a miracle of technical perfection and control, her body is completely, utterly possessed by the character's consuming madness. This is precisely why she consistently gets rave reviews for achieving Shakespearean-level acting while simultaneously singing notes that would drive most animals crazy. Vocal longevity. Why she retired it live. A role this notoriously extreme, with its punishingly high tessitura, a term which means the consistently high range where most of the notes of a role lie, is the equivalent of a high-wire act performed without a net. Performing it night after night, week after week, is incredibly taxing on the vocal cords, and Damrau was both brilliant and strategic enough to stop performing it live while she was still at the absolute top of her game. Why? Because singing in that stratospheric range, with that harrowing level of dramatic intensity, is a form of vocal suicide if it's done for too long. She has, of course, recorded it in a studio environment, where an artist gets the benefit of multiple takes and various safety nets. But live performance is another beast entirely. She proved to the world that she would risk it all for the sake of the drama, but she's also a master strategist who knew exactly when to walk away from this extreme sports role, to preserve her voice for other demanding repertoire, leaving us all wanting more and cementing her legendary status. Comparison snapshot. Other queens next to Damrau. Look, it is absolutely crucial to state that many legendary sopranos have triumphantly conquered the F6 and the role of the Queen of the Night. Each one brings a unique and valid brilliance to this iconic area. Sumi Jo's version, for example, sparkles with an almost supernatural, crystalline precision and flawless, machine-like control. Lucia Pop's interpretation, from an earlier generation, floats with an ethereal, otherworldly, bell-like quality that is hauntingly beautiful. Edita Gruberova's is like a perfectly cut diamond, flawless and arrestingly brilliant from every conceivable angle. But Diana Damrau's terrifies. She isn't just singing the notes with perfect technique, she is fully embodying a character so completely consumed by rage and desperation that you feel her fury in your own bones. The others deliver a legendary vocal performance. Damrau delivers a legendary three-dimensional villain you will never forget. Takeaway for non-opera folks. Do you still think that opera is just a bunch of overwrought screaming in a foreign language? I challenge you to listen to this aria one more time. Strip away the German lyrics, forget the context, and you will discover a universal masterclass in human rage. Think of it as the 5 stages of grief, but weaponized, twisted, and put on hyperspeed. The soft, menacing entrance is a corrupted form of denial. The sharp, spat-out consonants are pure, unadulterated anger. The soaring, impossibly difficult runs are a form of desperate, chaotic bargaining with fate. The quiet, hushed lull before the high Fs is a moment of terrifying, depressive clarity, and the final stark cadence is a violent, horrifying acceptance of her own monstrosity. It is, in the end, the ultimate do not mess with mom warning, communicated through the sheer, unbridled power of the human voice. So the next time you queue up a video of Diana Damrau's Queen of the Night, I urge you not to just sit there passively, waiting for the high-score moment of the F6. Turn on the subtitles and read the terrifying ultimatum she is delivering to her own child. Watch her eyes burn, see the coiled tension in her hands. Listen not just to the notes themselves, but to how she sings them. The sharp-edged consonants, the panicked and breathless runs, the terrifying and strategic quiet. When you do, you'll quickly realize that the high F6 isn't the destination of the aria. It is merely the sound of a mother declaring total and absolute war on her own daughter. An understanding that one crucial piece of drama is what turns a spectacular vocal showcase into a piece of unforgettable, gut-wrenching, and deeply human theater. If this video changed how you hear this incredible aria, drop a comment below, share it with a friend who needs their mind changed about opera, and be sure to subscribe to Opera Brownn for more deep dives that always put the story first.